Welcome to Half a Point, the podcast that saw St. Kilda cover as road favourites for the first time since I can remember, to cap off what was a very interesting gather round. But this week is our round six best picks episode. We'll each be giving our five best picks against the spread. To help me break it down, I am joined by my co-host, Carlton superfan Cass. Mate, how are you feeling?
Yeah, mate, not too bad. It was a good week of footy. Good games to watch. A few slogs, but yeah, overall, decent week of footy.
As a reminder, if you're new to the channel, please leave a like on this video and subscribe. We're also active on TikTok, on X, on Instagram, and on Spotify. So give us a follow on those. And also a reminder to please gamble responsibly. All right, Cass, let's jump into gather round. Disappointing week for both of us, but as you say every week, we just got to move on to the next week and bounce back. But yeah, you said there were a couple of good games. I think most of the games were pretty bad, but we'll start off with Adelaide Carlton. Carlton get their first cover of the year.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly when you said they're going to cover. Now that you hopped off of them, that's exactly
Yep.
when they do it. They like to mess with us, don't they, here on this podcast? But yeah, I think this was honestly like a good first quarter of footy to watch. And then sort of just let go of it in the second quarter, early second, and it was just even after that. But if we're looking at like Carlton's second halves, that's probably one of the best second halves that we've ever had, which is saying something. Seeing as we only kicked 4 goals, so yeah, put that behind
Yeah,
us.
exactly right. Yeah, there was definitely a world where Adelaide covered that game, but again, so with this game and the Collingwood game, the importance of getting the best of the number. So, if you were on Adelaide early in the week, it was like in the minus 20 and a half. So that ended up covering at the end. We'll move on to Collingwood Fremantle as well. Again, another situation of getting the best of the number. I think I said last week I played a little bit of Fremantle at minus 4.5. Didn't deserve it, but got there in the end. You were on Collingwood and the points. I think it was plus 13 and a half in the contest. That gets there. So I think, yeah, I'm glad he got there because I think Collingwood should have won the game outright. Fremantle, a couple like two like bursts where they kicked like I think like most of their goals. But the rest of the game, Collingwood really dominated. But yeah, you saw even in the first quarter when it was like going to be a low scoring slog, that 13 and a half felt like 50 and a half. Didn't it? There was like no way that Freo were going to cover that game. So yeah, good read from you there. Um, North Melbourne, Brisbane didn't go too well for me. I was on Brisbane.
Yeah, I think North Melbourne had good control in the first half of the game. And then, besides that third quarter, I think they played really good footy. So yeah, if you're on money line for North Melbourne, pretty unlucky, but it's still a very big risk going money line there. But yeah, I think North Melbourne covered pretty easily. Yeah, and then next up we had Essendon and Melbourne. Were you on this game?
No, I did play a little bit Essendon, but it wasn't in the
Yeah.
contest.
Yeah. Well, yeah, pretty good, really good game from Essendon. I feel like, we talk so much smack about them, but this was like a really good game from them, especially in the second half, where they just had full control of the game. So yeah, if you want Essendon there, well done. Money line as well, pretty good
Yeah,
there.
did not expect them to win outright. That was pretty crazy. But again,
Yeah,
yeah, with these bad teams, I guess like Melbourne, it's sort of they're sort of like a team in the middle. Like we're not sure if they're bad, not sure if they're like a kind of
yeah,
frisky. But yeah, these are the type of games that bad teams drop. Moving on to Sydney Gold Coast. This is disappointing. You were on Sydney, so you got it right. I got it wrong. Was one of our clashes, but yeah, pretty disappointed by Gold Coast. I this sort of really changed my perspective on the Suns and the Swans, both of them. Yeah, really impressed by the Swans. They keep rolling. Another cover as favourites, so fair enough to them. Gold Coast, I thought they'd be a little bit different, especially against good teams this year. I'm not completely off them, but I think might just hold off a little on the Suns for the time being. Hawthorn, Western Bulldogs. I think the score was a little bit misleading. I think it should have been probably smaller, but Hawthorn did probably dominate most of this game. So I think, again, 8.5, I didn't think there was a bad number, but if you got Hawthorn early in the week again at like 4.5, I think that was covering more times than not. But yeah, unlucky there. Geelong West Coast, man, so unlucky. Talk us through how
yeah.
you were feeling at the towards the end there.
Yeah, no, I think it was so heartbreaking because you have a look at like the whole game, like the game as a whole, and like late in that second quarter is pretty much where they didn't cover the line. I think they got like 4 or 5 goals kicked in a row. And that rest of the game is pretty much even, like goal for goal almost. So, you put that aside and West Coast get the cover so easily by like 30 odd points. But yeah, I think you said you had something to say about this one.
Yeah, man. So obviously the story is like there's a kick after the siren, and for West Coast to cover. If you kick the goal, you guys cover. If you kicked it behind or out in the full, which Geelong covered, and it hit the post, which is about as close as you can get to a cover. So I won and you lost. But I'll take you back to 2024, round eight, St Kilda versus North Melbourne. You were on St Kilda, I think it was minus like 35 and a half, and I was on North Melbourne plus 35 and a half. And St Kilda were up, and then North Melbourne had a kick after the siren. If they kicked a goal, I would have covered. If they didn't, you would have covered, and he kicked it behind. So you won that one, and I lost that one. So it took
Yeah,
me best out of 2 years, but as I say every week, it all comes back around,
yeah,
one way or another. So
balance itself
um,
out.
yeah, so I don't know if you remember that one, but yeah, it does all come back around. Anyway. That was my only win for the week, so I really needed that one. Um, Giants Richmond was pretty bad. Yeah, this was over in the first quarter. Another one where I think the favorites covered. I was on the dog. I thought like this would be one of the closer games, but yeah, wrong there. That was a bad pick. I'll put my hand up for that one. Even with the Sydney Gold Coast one, I think I said last week like I wouldn't be mad at the pick, so I'm not mad at that pick. This pick was probably not very good. And then Port Adelaide, St Kilda. I think we got pretty unlucky here. Port probably should have covered. Probably should have won outright. St Kilda cover as road favourites. As I said off the top, I asked us before the show, like when was the last time you remember St Kilda covering as road favourites? I genuinely can't remember. But fair
Mm.
enough to them. Gets there in the end. I feel like Port Adelaide's a long term winner there. So with those types of picks, you're not really mad. Like you just say why not to St Kilda and move on to the next one. So with this, so yeah, in terms of records, I go 1-4, so 11-14 against the spread, and you go 2-3 against, so 8-17 against the spread. So both well under 500. As we say every year, we want to go 3-2 every week and 56% against the spread. So well under par for now. But I was looking at our episodes last year, so we were pretty much around the same mark last year as well. And it ended up really well as well. So again, long season, not going to overreact. Just gonna keep trying and hitting 3-2 every week. Couple quirks with the stats as well. So Dogs started 4-0 against the spread, but then finished 0-5 against the spread. So favorites had a nice little run at the end there. Favorites again dominated. So 8-1 straight up. Essendon was the only upset. So even the Dogs that covered lost the game outright. So public really filled up there. And this is a quirk, doesn't kind of meaningless, but the home team listed, so for all the neutral games, was 7-0. Against against the spread. So all the neutral games, the listed home favorite, which is meaningless. The home team won, but for both the Adelaide games, the road team covered. So again, it's gathered around. It's weird. I don't know. There's always
Yeah.
something every year that happens in terms of all these trends, but. I'm glad it's behind us. We'll move on to next week. Put it behind us. As I say every week, you go 0-5, you go 5-0. Doesn't matter. Who cares? Move on to the next week, which is round six here. So starting off with the half a point grand final, as we say, V3, half a point grand final three. Since we've been recording, Carlton was calling it. Obviously, I'm a Pies fan. Carlton's a Blues fan. Um, but yeah, Thursday night game at the MCG. So last time they played, Carlton were 27.5 point dogs, got absolutely thrown out by 56 there. This time around, Carlton are 10.5 point dogs. Where are you going with this one?
Look, mate, everything inside me wants to tell me to stay away from this game, but I think big games like this, draws a big crowd, a lot of history behind it. I usually take the dog in most cases, so give me Carlton plus 10.5. I think regardless, it'll be a close game. I can definitely see Carlton like starting really well, having a good first half as usual. If they can just push it through to a third quarter, I think they can more than easily cover the line and maybe even a bit on the money line as well here. But yeah, give me Carlton. What do you reckon?
Oh, I'm going to do it. Give me Carlton plus 10.5 and give me Carlton to win outright here. Absolutely love this one. One of my favorite picks on the board. I know I said I wasn't going to go for Carlton ever again, but they covered last week, so that's broken now. Here we go. We're back on. And what a way to get us out of our rut than to go with Carlton, right? That's the only thing
Yeah.
that's gonna turn our luck around this season. But yeah, generally do love this pick. Like I'm hammering Carlton the points here. It's come down a little bit. It was at 14 and a half early in the week. But yeah, I mean, with this Collingwood side, we can't score. So how can you really expect them to win by margin? Yeah, definitely going to take the points here. I think yeah, every point is valuable, but I think this Carlton team wins outright here. Collingwood dominated that game last week and lost. And I feel like it was like one of those tough, sort of high intensity, sort of like high tackle count games. And then 6 day break. Coming back home now. I feel like, Carlton getting the extra day off is going to be important in this particular scenario, having that rest edge. Um, Historically, Collingwood's been pretty good on short rest and like in those after those high tackle games, but I feel like it's a little bit different this year with this Collingwood side. Um, yeah, I feel like this week, like we said, like favorites went 8-1 straight up last week. I feel like the public's gonna get absolutely slaughtered this week. So I'm gonna be on a lot of these dogs here. So yeah, starting off with Carlton. Yeah, really like this one. Good to see that we're aligned to start off. Moving on to Geelong versus Western Bulldogs Friday night game at GMHBA. Last time they played, Geelong were 1.5 point favorites, ended up winning by 14. This time around, Geelong are 11.5 point favorites. Give me the Western Bulldogs plus 11.5. And give me the Western Bulldogs to blow out the Cats here. I think this game's not going to be close, and I think the Bulldogs are going to come away with like a massive win here. 20 plus points, 30 plus points, whatever you want to play. Um, Awful spot for this cat side. I said at the start of the season, this cat side at GMHBA last year were really good against the spread. They're already this year, they're already 0-2 against the spread. So I feel like that continues. I feel like the market hasn't caught up to that yet. This Western Bulldogs side, this line I feel like would probably is going to sort of shift. It's 11.5 at the moment. No, we don't know the ins and outs yet. So it could come all the way down. Could with English if English plays and Richards plays. But even if they don't play, I really don't care. And is if they don't play and this goes up to like 13, 14, I'm going to like hammer Western Bulldogs more. This is probably my biggest player of the week by far. Um, but yeah, I think Libba coming back in is a big deal. Like he plays well historically against this cat side. But yeah, with this Geelong side, I don't know. It feels like something's off with them. And this Western Bulldogs side, like like a week ago they were like the premiership favorites and everyone's darling, and now they're catching 2 goals against this cat side. I don't know. I feel like last year was a good spot for them and they couldn't come away with the win. I feel like this year everything's a little bit muted. I feel like the Cats don't show up here, and I feel like the Dogs just absolutely demolish them. What do you think?
Yeah, look, I was looking at Western Bulldogs, but I just decided to stay away from it. Yeah, but completely understand what you're saying. They are generally really good against the Cats. But yeah, I don't know. I just couldn't find it in myself to sort of go with them. But yeah, if I had to pick one of them, I'd probably go with Western Bulldogs. But yeah, I like the pick. I like the pick, especially got bit of money line on that.
Oh, 100%. I've played Western Bulldogs minus 38.5. Like I just think it's not going to be close.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to Sydney versus GWS, another Friday night game, so a double header, a little bit controversial. At the SCG, last time they played the Giants were 10.5 point favorites. Ended up winning by 44. They went on that crazy spree in the third quarter there. This time around, Sydney are 23.5 point favorites. Where you going with this one?
Oh, another stay away from me. I think, yeah, I really rate Swans at the moment. I feel like it's one of those teams that like early on in the season really fly, and like absolutely demolish the competition. And, eventually they will drop a little bit. But yeah, I think especially in a derby, I'm not too sure which team to go for here. Usually would go with the dog, in this case, GWS. So yeah, if I had to make a pick, probably go with them. But otherwise, it's stay away from me. How about you?
Mate, I could be 0-3 by Friday night. Give me the Giants plus 23.5 here. Absolutely love this one as well. Yeah, I've started out on fire. The first 3 games, that's 3 picks for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you said, this Sydney side, like they're flying at the moment. And if they do win this game out, I'm not going to be surprised. If they do cover, I'm not going to be surprised. But as you said, I feel like it's sort of getting now to the top of the market with this Sydney side, and I've sort of said that last week as well. But I don't know, 4 goals against this Giant side who looked. I know it was against Richmond, but they did look a little bit better with a couple of their key ins back. They are on a 5 day break here on the road, but I don't know. Sydney as well played like one of those tough, high intensity games versus the Suns as well. Whereas I feel like the Giants really cruised versus Richmond here. So I think the rest edge is a little bit is not as big as what people sort of may perceive. And as you say, it's one of those derby games as well. So usually these types of games tend to be closer. You feel like you're gonna get a high effort, high intensity game by the Giants here. Kind of in a desperate spot, like they dug themselves in a little bit of a hole at the start of the season. And yeah, I feel like if they didn't cover versus the Tigers last year, like it would have sort of sorry, last week, it would have been more of a signal about um how this Giants team is tracking. But I feel like it is the same Giants team as we've seen the previous few years. Throwing a little bit on the money line, could absolutely see this Giants team upsetting this Sydney side. I feel like, yeah, you're getting pretty good value, but yeah, definitely taking the 4 goals there. Moving on to Gold Coast versus Essendon Saturday afternoon game at People's First. Last time they played, Gold Coast were 51.5 point favorites, ended up winning by 95. Obviously, that was the round 24 game there. This time around, Gold Coast are 43.5 point favorites. Stay away from me. So I'm not going crazy here, but I played a little bit of Gold Coast here. I feel like it's a really nice spot for them. A couple of disappointing weeks in a row, and I feel like they get right against this Essendon side who've just got their first win in like 17 games. So I feel like it's a natural letdown for them. But yeah, it's a lot of points. No Noah Anderson as well, so I think that means something. But I think Petrarca might be back as well. So yeah, at 43.5, I definitely lean Gold Coast here. But yeah, stay away from the contest. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you said it pretty perfectly. I think Essendon first win in so long last week, and not only like a win, they actually blew them out. So I think means a lot for them. And then Gold Coast as well, just been disappointing past couple of weeks. So I feel like the market has sort of adjusted to that. So yeah, perfect time to jump on Gold Coast Suns here. So give me the Suns at minus 43.5. Yeah, I don't usually jump on big lines, but I think this one is just perfect spot for me to jump on. So yeah, let's see how we go here.
Yeah, very fair. I think, yeah, and it could get ugly as well. So I wouldn't mind playing smart lines as well. This Essendon side isn't that good. Obviously, we
Mm,
saw a couple of weeks ago, I feel like this line would have been like 50 something, right? So yeah, I think fair
yeah.
enough there. Moving on to Hawthorn versus Port Adelaide Saturday afternoon game at Marvel. Last time they played, Hawthorn were 29.5 point favorites. Ended up winning by 38. This time around, Hawthorn are 42.5 point favorites. Where are you going with this one?
Stay away from me. I think Port would be the choice here if I had to jump on either team. But yeah, I don't rate Port that much, and Hawthorn obviously they know how to score a lot of goals really quick. It is at Marvel as well, so you could take that into consideration. But yeah, I think it's just yeah, I don't feel too comfortable going with either team here, so decided to stay away. How about you?
Yeah, same. No play for me here at all. If I'd had to go aside, I'd probably lean Hawthorn, to be honest. Like they could probably flex their muscles here against a really bad Port Adelaide side. Couple of field issues as well, obviously with the Zach Butters case as well. So don't know if they are going to be distracted at all. But yeah, I feel like Hawthorn, as I said, in my premiership pick, I feel like they could flex their muscles here and sort of go and put up a big score against this a hapless Port Adelaide side. But yeah, stay away from the contest just because it's a pretty big number. Moving on to Adelaide versus St Kilda Saturday night game at Adelaide Oval. Last time they played, Adelaide were 18.5 point favorites, ended up blowing out by 63. This time around, Adelaide are 14.5 point favorites. Stay away from me. I really wanted to be on St Kilda here. Like this is probably the perfect spot for this St Kilda side. But now it's down to 14.5. It was like I played a little bit at 15 and a half. I think it was better before a little bit. I think it was like what 16 or 17 at the start of the week. But yeah, with this Adelaide side, I don't know. They haven't covered their last two at the Adelaide Oval. This will be the third game in a row at the Adelaide Oval. So are they really going to go 0-3 against the spread at the Adelaide Oval? And St Kilda just covered at the Adelaide Oval last week. So I don't know. Regression says Adelaide should cover, but the spot says St Kilda should cover. this was probably like one of my first picks, like if you asked me 2 weeks ago for this round. But yeah, now how everything's turned out, I don't know. At 14.5, it feels a little bit low. Gonna stay away from it. Really want to be on St Kilda. What do you think?
Yeah, exact same read on it. I think St Kilda, like being on the road and covering last week and winning as well. To it is the exact same oval that they're playing at. So maybe that can help their case a little bit. But yeah, I think it's just a bit too risky. Yeah, everything of it. I want it to be on St Kilda as well. Like I think if you look at like just the lines as it is, or just this week, I think I'd be on St Kilda any other day, but. I think, yeah, given last week as well, I'm sort of like staying away from it a little bit. But yeah, I think if I had to jump on a team, give me St Kilda. But yeah, I'm staying away.
Yeah, 100% agree. Like, I feel like if this was one of the games last week, I would have been all over St Kilda. Like last week was hard to find 5 picks. I think this week there's like seven that I can you had to narrow down
Mm.
to five. Moving on to North Melbourne versus Richmond Sunday afternoon game at Marvel. Last time they played North Melbourne 9.5 point favorites, ended up blowing them out by 48. This time around, North Melbourne are 25.5 point favorites. Where are you going with this one?
Give me Richmond plus 25.5. I actually think this might be a close game, at least for like the first half, before, North Melbourne kick a few goals in a row, like get off to a little burst, and then Richmond sort of find their pace a little bit again. But yeah, I think, North Melbourne, they've looked good previously, but I think they're still one of those teams that everyone looks at as a bottom four team. I don't think they're as good as what they've put up previously. Um, so yeah, I think Richmond could get the cover here. But yeah, I'm just gotta hope that North Melbourne don't come out and play one of those games where they just absolutely dominate.
100% agree. Give me Richmond plus 25.5 here. And I'll go a step further. Give me Richmond to win outright here. I'm tipping the Tigers here. I know it's scary. I know it's crazy. But I hope I won't look like a crazy person after this game. Look, yeah, as you said, like we say every time these two bad teams play, you go with the underdog. But I feel like this is a lot of points. 4 goals for this
Yeah.
North Melbourne side to be laying is kind of outrageous in my opinion. This Richmond side, yep, they look bad for long stretches of time, but I feel like they sense an opportunity here. I feel like everyone's off them. I feel like the the burst they had last year has sort of worn off, and now they're sort of starting to get criticism again. That's sort of exactly when you sort of want to be on them. Whereas this North Melbourne side, everyone's like, okay, that was a good loss against Brisbane. Don't worry, everyone's going to lose to Brisbane, and before that, they were coming off a couple big wins as well. So um, yeah, they're still as favorites. I think they still haven't covered as favorites well since anytime this year. So um, yeah, definitely like lost to West Coast outright and then didn't cover versus Essendon. So yeah, I feel like that continues as we see every time these two bad teams. You want to go with underdogs. So yeah, give me Richmond and the points and to win outright. Moving on to Melbourne versus Brisbane Sunday afternoon game at the MCG. Last time they played Brisbane with 31.5 point favorites, ended up losing by 11 to Melbourne there. That was at the Gabba. This time around, Melbourne are 21.5 point dogs. Stay away from me. I sometimes say they're a professional trap, and I feel like Melbourne's a professional trap here. I feel like I wanted to be on Brisbane here. But again, 21.5 points, it's a lot of points here. This Melbourne side, I think coming off a disappointing loss against Essendon, like you're getting a pretty good number here. I feel like, as I said, like I just don't think that they're good. They're fun, like they can sort of show up, but I feel like you can draw parallels to the Gold Coast game a couple of rounds ago, where I was all over this Melbourne side versus there. But I felt like that was a bad spot for Gold Coast and like a good spot for this Melbourne side. I I feel like this is sort of closer to the spread. I can see Melbourne covering, but I don't see them winning this game. Lean Brisbane, not sure. What do you think?
Yeah, I might be falling into the professional trap here because I'm with Melbourne plus 21.5. Yeah, I just thought it was a lot of points, especially against Brisbane, who didn't quite perform that well last week. Would that carry over? And then Melbourne as well, really disappointing result last week. I'm sure they're going to want to bounce back. They obviously have quite a few experienced heads there, so I just think it's a lot of points. I can see Brisbane winning by like 10 points here, so yeah, I'm taking Melbourne with the points.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. Like you, as in, it's a home dog. Like, not going to blame you for that. Moving
Yeah.
on to West Coast versus Fremantle Sunday afternoon game at Optus. Last time they played, Fremantle were 15.5 point favorites, ended up winning by 49. So West Coast just covered that game. This time around, West Coast are 42.5 point dogs. Where are you going with this one?
Western Derby, give me the dog every single time, especially when you're laying 42.5 points. So, yeah, I love West Coast at 40 at plus 42.5 here. A lot of points, but I think we've seen it before, like being able to cover, keep the game close. There is quite a bit of wet weather coming up here, so maybe that'll help. And yeah, I think West Coast should be able to cover this line pretty easily.
Is it raining
A bit of wet
on
weather coming
Sunday?
up.
On Sunday? Is it?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
Oh, okay. Cool. I did not know that. I thought, oh, anyway. Okay, anyway. Give me West Coast plus 42.5 here. Yeah, exact same sentiment as you. Western Derby, you want to go with the dog. Yeah, the West Coast are 3-1, I think, the last four versus against the spread. Versus Freo. A couple of them are close, like the last one, which is like that covered by like 1.5 points. And I think the time before that they covered by like half a point. So yeah, but 2 years ago I think they won outright, right? As like massive dog. So throwing a touch on the money line here as well. Like this West Coast side, as we see this year, like they're a different side. And they like when they put in effort, they can definitely come to play. Especially at Optus here. Like last time they were Optus against Sydney, it was really disappointing. I feel like you're gonna get a revved up West Coast side here, and this Fremantle side. Couple massive road wins against Adelaide and Collingwood. I feel like this is a perfect letdown spot. I know it's a derby, so they're not going to be like sleeping, but like I feel like this is like then if West Coast come out and kick the first three goals, I'm not going to be shocked at all. And then yeah, this Fremantle side, again, like the story was that Collingwood keep 39 points, but this Fremantle side only keep 45 points. So, but yeah, I feel like that the fact that they came away with a massive win, like two massive wins on the road, this is such a natural letdown spot. I do expect Fremantle to win, but yeah, definitely 42.5 points, especially after West Coast have been blown out the last 2 weeks as well. I feel like you're getting a good number here at more than 40 points. So yeah, give me West Coast and the points as well. So that's our picks for this round. Run us through your five, Cos.
Yep, I've got Carlton plus 10.5, Gold Coast minus 43.5, Richmond plus 25.5, Melbourne plus 21.5, and West Coast plus 42.5.
Nice. So no clashes, and we aligned on a few of these. So give me Carlton plus
Yeah.
10.5 and to win outright. Give me the Western Bulldogs plus 11.5 and to blow out the Cats. Give me the Giants plus 23.5. Give me Richmond plus 25.5 and to win outright. And give me West Coast plus 42.5. So five dogs for me. First time I've done it this season. But as I said at the start of the episode, I feel like the public gets absolutely hammered this week. So yeah, this is one of those weeks where I really like my picks, which is always dangerous. It's always dangerous when that happens. But yeah, a couple of
Yeah.
them like I'm really hammering. But yeah, anyway, as we said every week, we just want to get three and two and move on to the next week. All right. Survivor. I forgot who you were. I think you were on the Giants last week and they
Yeah.
won. Who would you go for this week?
Oh, geez, I don't even know. I haven't kept up. I'm probably going with those. If I haven't gone with Hawthorn, probably Hawthorn.
You go with Hawthorn.
Oh, okay. Um,
It gets
give
tricky.
me,
See, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Frio? I'd probably jump on Frio.
Okay, Freya, I don't know. I didn't think you picked him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Hawthorn. I haven't picked him yet. So
Mm.
yeah, I think that's yeah, this is a good spot for them. I think they'll blow them out. But yeah, I think I was on Geelong last week, so yeah, got the obviously just need a win for Survivor, so got there in the end. All right, Cass. Closing thoughts before we wrap up here.
Well, big week for us with the half point cup, but yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully it's a good game. Hopefully it's a good close game.
That's right, for the contest and for us as well. As a
Yeah.
reminder, please leave a like on this video and subscribe. And until next week, bye.